Hi there, welcome to Jujube DIY. I'm Sarah, thanks so much for joining me today. Today I'm bringing you 5 inspirational, beautiful farmhouse nativity DIYs. And I'm also participating in an open challenge, which I'll talk about more here in just a few minutes. I hope you enjoyed today's projects, and if you want to see how I made these beautiful projects, stay tuned. For our first project, I cut down 3 pieces of wood into house shapes using my miter box and saw. I then painted each one a different color. One was the Waverly chalk paint in the mineral, one was the Hello Hobby chalk paint in the color Swan, and then I showed moss, but I didn't end up using the moss color. I used the folk art home decor paint in the color Sage. Now I'm just dry brushing the white and green house with a little bit of the Waverly chalk paint in the mineral, and then I dry brushed the mineral one with the swan color. And I also did add in a little bit of that swan to the green one. Next, we're just gonna add some vinyl decals. I'll leave the link to my Cricut Design Space decals. So if you have Cricut Design Space, you should be able to access these SVG files that I have with Cricut. So I'll leave that link down below. So if you want these, you are more than welcome to borrow them. But you do have to have Cricut Design Space. Otherwise, you can use stickers, you can hand letter these, you can print them off and Mod Podge them. There's so many options to vinyl. Also, water slide decals. I've showed that in my videos before, and those are a great way to add fancy lettering and pictures to a project. But this project is so easy. I added this little star at the top, and that's all there is to it. And I think that this project is such a huge impact piece. So today I am participating in the Reason for the Season Open Challenge. This is hosted by Creating It Myself. She does amazing projects, so if you've not been over to her channel, definitely go check her out. And as always, there's a playlist today. I will link that down below. Go check it out for amazing inspiration from amazing creators. For DIY number 2, we are going to take one of these Dollar Tree house frames. I'm just going to take the back off, and then I am going to get rid of the glass and the paper that's inside. We don't need that for this project today. You can save that for another project. Next, I'm going to take some of these super jumbo craft sticks that I get at Walmart, and these are just ones I already had cut up in half. And I'm going to do like a full-size one, and then 2 halves together, and then full. And I'm going to keep going on gluing those with hot glue all the way to the top, just like this. Next, I'm going to take my craft knife or my straight knife, whatever you want to call it, and I'm just going to score over those popsicle sticks, craft sticks, until I can kind of break them up. And I'm going to do that all the way around this whole piece to get rid of those extra bits. And then I'll go in with a little bit of sandpaper, and it creates a beautiful edge. And I just painted this with that swan white color and then dry brushed with the mineral color. And I did the same thing with the frame base of swan, dry brush with mineral. And then I got these stars from the Dollar Tree, and I painted them with the mineral chalk paint as well. Next, I cut out these little tiny decals from Cricut, and these are just like a little nativity. And yeah, so I placed them on there, and I had 4 animals. I decided that I was going to forego the cow this time. I figured he would be really cute on another project some other day. And then taking the Scrabble letters that I've gotten from Amazon, I pulled out the letters for Silent Night, and I'm just dry brushing with the with the Waverly Antique Wax over the top. And I end up not sticking with that, and you'll see here in a minute what I end up doing instead. So I wanted to add some decoration at the top. This is some greenery I picked up at Hobby Lobby. And then this gingham ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I just made a basic bow And I'm just gonna add that to the top. And then I'll add a berry and a couple of mini pine cones that I've picked up from the Dollar Tree. And I'll just add those for more decoration. And here you can see I went over those letters with the swan and then dry brushed with mineral. And then I just used a Sharpie to go over those letters to make them stand out, and then dry brushed over them again. So I thought this went better than that darker color that I originally used. For this project, I picked up this cross from Hobby Lobby on clearance. I'm just going to take off all of the accessories and the sticker, of course, and the hanger. So I wanted this to be a bare piece. And then I'm going to go in with my crackle from Plaid. This is Folk Art Crackle Medium, and I'm going to paint that over the top. And while that's drying, I'm going to take a small circle, wood circle that I have. I painted it white, and then I drew on a very primitive kind of family, you know, like the Holy Family here, Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus. And I'm just going to paint this in very basic. I didn't want a whole lot of detail here. I wanted this to be kind of rustic and more primitive. So it's just, you know, very basic. So I'm going to go in with a few different colors. For Joseph, I decided to do brown for his robe and head covering. So I did a lighter color for the head covering and then went in with a darker color for the robe. And these paintbrushes are just the Folk Art detail paintbrushes that you can pick up at Walmart. They're very cheap. I think they're less than $5 for like a set of 10. I don't generally use expensive paintbrushes because I'm very hard on my paintbrushes. I am not one that takes good care of them, unfortunately, and so they end up getting ruined more often than not. So I usually buy the cheaper ones. And for me, these little detail brushes work perfectly for these little tiny pieces that I like to do. So for Mary, I just went in with a blue color. And like I said before, I will leave all the colors and everything that I use in my description box down below. So if you're curious, you can look at the project and see what colors I was using where. And then I'm gonna go in with a little bit of these lighter colors. This was like I think it's called Antique White, Apple Barrel. These are all Apple Barrel colors that I use for this project. And I'm just gonna kind of add in some like little, I don't know, kind of like highlights, but not really. They're just kind of streaks. Like I said, I just kind of wanted this to be very kind of primitive and a little bit messy. Like there's some styles of painting that you probably have seen them before if you look on Pinterest and stuff, that you can see where I'm going with this style. So it's just kind of, I just love it. I think it is a really beautiful style of artwork, and so I really wanted to emulate that here. So I'm just going in with a couple of different gray colors in the background, lighter and darker, and then I'm going to add a little bit of brown, and then at the very end I'll add in like a turquoise blue color. And I think this turned out really cute. Then I'm going to drill a hole at the top. I just have a hand drill that I use for little projects like this. And then I'm going to attach the love that was originally on that cross with my family here. And I'll just hot glue the back there. Next, I'm going to take my cross after I got the crackle dried. I did go over that with a gray color from Apple Barrel. And then I'm going to add some twine across the front of my cross. And then I'm just going to hot glue the love portion onto the cross there and create a little bow to cover that hole. And then I wanted to add a little bit more rustic charm to this little cross. So I'm gonna go in with the Dollar Tree nautical rope, and I'm just going to hot glue that all around the outside edge there. And then I'm gonna add the hanger back onto the back, and this project is done. So if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel and you like what you're seeing today, I hope that you'll go down below and hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you hit that notification bell so that you're notified every time I upload new content. Please like this video and comment. It helps YouTube notice me a little bit better. And if you want to follow me on social media, you can find me over on Instagram and Facebook. For our third DIY, I'm going to take one of these plastic mason jars from the Dollar Tree and some foam core board. I'm just going to trace the bottom opening onto my foam core board 3 times, and then I'm going to cut that out. And you'll have to cut it down like inside the circle just a tiny bit so that it'll fit inside your jar. But just keep cutting it down until you get it just right. Then I'm going to glue all 3 of these pieces together to make like kind of a sandwich. Next, I'm going to take 3 wood spools that I had in my stash. These 2 bigger ones came from Amazon, but the small one I've had in my stash for a long time, and I'm not sure where it came from. This larger wood bead is like for making peg dolls. And then this is probably a 20mm bead. And then the small one is probably an 8mm bead. I'm not really sure. Again, these are just kind of all ones I had in my stash, so I just pieced them together. Next, I'm going to wrap each of my spools with a little bit of Dollar Tree ribbon. I just chose 3 colors that I thought would coordinate together and would match the aesthetic that I was going for, which was kind of a farmhouse look. For Mary's head, I decided to add some of this Dollar Tree ribbon, lace ribbon. I thought that would look really pretty for her head covering, and so I just hot glued that right across the middle of the bead that I'm using for her head. And then I'm just going to add that to my spool. I'm going to cut down the sides so that they're not too long, and then I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue just to keep those side pieces from getting all willy-nilly and becoming messy at some point. For the baby Jesus, I'm just cutting down a piece of this burlap ribbon. I had to cut it down to fit because this is such a small little spool, but that was okay. I just cut it down and hot glued it on there, and I thought it turned out perfect. And then of course we've got to add the little head to the spools. Next, we're going to add our spools to the foam core board. When you're doing this part, just make sure that you're checking it with the jar. I had originally tested this out and it fit, but I think I had pushed that bigger spool back a little bit further. And once I hot glued that down, the foam core board, the glue and the wood, it was not coming up. So I kind of had to figure this out. And so I ended up just gluing Mary to the wood spool, the bigger, to Joseph, basically. I just glued her to him up a little bit further, and then I glued baby Jesus next to them. And so there is a little gap there, and I just decided, I mean, I was going to cover it with the Spanish moss anyways, but I just kind of shoved that down underneath so it looks like she's standing on the moss. So it was really no big deal, and it worked out just fine. So I'm just gonna hot glue this Spanish moss all the way around, and then once I get that all hot glued, I'm going to give it a little haircut so that it looks neat and polished. And here they are, and then I'm just going to put them right in my jar. So cute. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue to the foam core, and then I'm just going to put that jar right on. And then I'm going to take some of the jute twine, and I'm just going to wrap the whole bottom of this with the jute twine. And you can see I'm just using a lighter to get off all those little hairs. I wanted to create a little bow for the top of this jar, so I'm using some of this gingham ribbon or buffalo check ribbon, whatever you want to call it, from Michael's. I picked up last year on mega clearance after Christmas. It's the best time to get your ribbon. So I'm just creating a basic bow with a little twine in the middle there. And we'll just hot glue that right on top. So I picked up this beautiful pick from Walmart. It's kind of a frosted, I don't know what it, you know, like just frosted greenery with these berries, and it's just beautiful. I'm gonna have to get more. Hopefully they've got more when I go, because I really am loving it. So I'm just adding some of this greenery and some of these berries to the top to finish this project up. And as an afterthought, I thought it was missing something. So I found this little wood heart that I had in my stash, but you could use the Dollar Tree wood hearts from like Valentine's Day. And I just glued that right to the front because, you know, I thought it would be a perfect addition for our little nativity here. So here is the finished product. So for our last DIY, I'm going to take one of these galvanized stars from the Crafter Square section and one package of these small balls also came from Dollar Tree, and they're the plastic ones. And then I picked up this little button set that is a nativity from Hobby Lobby. It's so cute. I'm using my wood burning tool and a hot knife accessory to cut my ornament in half. I'm just following the seam that is on these ornaments to make sure that I get it right directly in half. And I'm just going to take my time and go slow because I definitely don't want to burn or cut myself with this project. I was inspired by Courtney over at Creative on the Cheap with this project. She had done something similar recently, and I thought it was a really neat idea, and so I wanted to give it a try. Next, I needed to cut the top of the ornament in half as well, so I'm just using a regular pair of scissors because this is really thin metal, almost like aluminum foil, and I'm just going to cut that in half. Again, just be careful because it's sharp. And hey, I probably actually sharpened my scissors by doing that. So next I'm going to take my buttons, and I needed the button part cut off of Mary and Joseph, so I'm just using some wire cutters to do that. Just be careful because those little plastic pieces go everywhere, so make sure you're using eye protection. And then I'm taking 2 tumbling tower blocks that I stained with the antique Waverly wax, and I'm just going to hot glue them together in kind of an L shape. I just needed a base for my family to sit on. So I'm gluing Joseph and Mary on each side of my tumbling tower blocks on that first little step, and then I'm going to adhere Jesus. That's baby Jesus there in the middle, and then the little animals on each side of Jesus. Next, I needed to figure out my placement in my star, so I just put those down, And then I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to mark the very bottom of this so that I can make sure I get it back in the right spot. Next, I'm taking some Fix-All from the Dollar Tree and hot glue combo to adhere this to my star because, you know, hot glue and metal don't always stick very well together. So then I'm going to do the same with the ornament, use Fix-All and hot glue to attach that. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of jute twine around the very outside edge of my ornament just to kind of give it a more polished and clean look. I also added that little angel up there at the top on the star. Next, I'm going to take some of this burlap and lace ribbon, or burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to attach that just to the outside of the star just to kind of give it a little more decoration. And then I'm going to create a jute twine bow by wrapping the jute around my fingers a few times and then just tying the middle off with a little bit more twine. And it just creates a cute little rustic bow. And I'm going to hot glue that straight up there at the middle and trim the edges, or trim the ends. I thought it was missing something. I kept looking at it and I'm like, it's just missing something. So I decided to add some of this greenery from Hobby Lobby. This is a very interesting, it's really cute, but it's like foam. The leaves are foam and then the little pit berries. So it's a really cute little floral piece. I picked that up at Hobby Lobby. And here is a look at our little star ornament. This could actually be an ornament, or you could put it on a tier tray or anywhere you want. I just think it's really super cute. So as always, let me know in the comments down below which was your favorite. Please make sure to go down into the description box, check out the host of today's challenge and the playlist. And I hope that you guys all have a happy, healthy, and blessed day, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!